talk about a display of love in the movie.
Okay.
This movie here.
Alright, so sit down.
Yeah, let me know when to go.
You can go
Should
anytime.
probably be filming all of this.
Yeah, you can go anytime.
On my own. Just let me know if it's recording.
It's recording.
Okay. Well, we're gonna get into it here in a minute about Jack and Rose, the romance on the Titanic.
You totally owe me a box of one.
Whatever, dude. Crap.
Alright, so how did it start? Do you remember?
But you're good lighting and everything.
It's
You have to
beautiful
ask me
lighting.
questions. It can't just be me.
Alright, so how did Jack and Rose first meet?
Introduce what this is, though.
This is
D.
our version of Drunk History,
DR.
but not real history.
DR Unk.
Dr. Unk, not real history. This is fictional of the Titanic. The James Cameron version of the Titanic. James and Rose didn't really exist.
Oh, this is drunk history.
But this is
It's not history, but it's
Nick Walker's version
this is drunk history
of Jack and Rose.
Fictional history about Jack and Rose
Okay.
who met on the Titanic. And
And
I'm
how
going to
did
tell
they
you
meet?
about just some things along the way, like how they met, how things transpired.
So how did they meet?
Basically, Jack was hanging out with his friend in a bar somewhere. They were gambling, I think, and drinking. I think they just got off work or something from their, their job, whatever they're doing together. Then Jack, then he won this thing. I don't know if it was a card game. I'm not completely informed. Entirely. It's a card game, right?
Yes.
He won some kind of card game. Some people that were around, he's got a ticket. Okay, now he's got a ticket to Titanic, and he's got to go. Oh no, two tickets. Then the guy gives him 2 tickets, but then he's like, oh, you have to leave right now, because it leaves in like 15 minutes, whatever. So he grabs his friend. The partying's over for then. They go, pack a bag as quick as they can. They go to the Titanic, or to their houses real quick, then they go to the Titanic. They get their bags together, and, long story short, they get there. Boom. Okay, so him and his friend are on the Titanic. They start hanging out, doing whatever, just enjoying things they have never experienced as poor people. And anyway, a couple days go by. They're just jacking off, and then one day, Jack looks up to the upper class booth and sees Rose there. She's just standing there looking very beautiful, and he sees her, and he's just like, wow, wow, wow. And his friends were like, no, this will never happen. But then she looks at him for a second, and they meet eyes. That's it. Then something's happened after. Rose, a couple nights later tries to commit suicide because her family is all rich, and I think she's just trying to do all these different things, and she feels different than them, and they're rich, and she's okay, I'm rich too, but I really don't have a job, and am I rich or am I not? I don't care. And
Look at the camera.
yeah. Well, I'm just trying to get everything together, and her family's like, okay, Rose, you shouldn't be hanging out with this guy. I gotta fast forward. Porky, get out of here, screwing me up. Dogs are screwing me up.
Porky, go underneath the
Get her
covers.
out of here quick. Okay, so okay. Jack saves her because she's like, oh, I'm in peril, I hate this life, I don't want to be married to this man. She feels like she should be married to this man, she feels very pressured. So she runs over in the middle of the night to the thing, poop deck maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, so they do. They
Whatever
poop
you want
off
to call
of
it.
it.
She wants to hop over, but she doesn't quite have the guts, she's not quite ready. Then Jack is snooping around, he sees her. Okay? And he's like, oh no, Rose, don't go. He saves her, brings her back over. She lands on the deck, not hard or anything, he just, he brings her over and they land together. And then some people find her, and they're like, oh no, this man raped her. This man looks like he's a low class man, looks like he's up to like something sketchy. But Rose is so thankful that, she's about to jump over the thing, and he saved her. And she said, well, yeah, I wasn't ready to die, kind of thinking to herself. Then Jack's like, like looking around all weird, like, oh my god, all these rich dudes are out to kill me. And so what happens next is Rose thinks of a plan. And this plan is to make Jack not seem like a murderer or a raper. It all goes well. They agree to the plan like this, like telepathically or something.
That's what people
It's all
agree to
good.
things.
So whatever. And then this guy's like, oh yeah, it's weird that you have your shoes untied and your pants half on, kind of thing. This guy says to Jack, but yeah, you're just rescuing her. Then the guy who Rose is married to is like, he was summoned by a god to be like, oh yeah, he rescued.
It was her fiance. They were not married.
But there was some other guy who was like, hey, he rescued your girl, and all you're gonna do is say thank you. Then this guy turns around and he says, yeah, I better turn around and go ask this guy. So anyway, Jack is invited to dinner. So things escalate from dinner. Rose and him, obviously, they portray some kind of weird bond, like they flirt from afar, there's eye flirting, us flirting, whatever, blah blah blah. We all know Rose isn't happy anyway, so after that, lots of talking, lots of weird meetings kind of happen on the ship, whatever. They bond, they tie up, Rose in his shirt, Jack's like, whatever, you're a poopy head. Then it's just back and forth like that for a little while, for a very short while. There's a couple meetings. Finally, Rose is like, oh, Jack, you're the one for me. Then, from then on, it's like sneaking around,
Having sex in a 1920
Yeah,
Ford.
they sneak around in the ship, in the storage units, and they just have sex, and they do all these things. And one day, they hide it for so long, and the lady there, I forget her name.
Molly Brown.
Yeah, probably.
The unsinkable Molly Brown.
She feels like Jack and her are meant to be, and she's kind of like
She's real.
Yeah, she's the real one of the group. But the mom kind of knows things are going on too, but eventually she kind of just like, whatever. As much as everyone thinks that like, she's totally like, oh my god, I'm so rich and my daughter deserves this fucking other clown to pluck brows. You never see him again the rest of the movie.
No, you do, because he sneaks on board to one of those ships. He sneaks on board to a lifeboat.
Yes, and yes he does. I forgot about that part. And there's a couple other parts he's like, yeah, Rose.
He's
but Rose
douchebag.
is with Jack. And Rose doesn't care about the other man. And this man gave her a very beautiful necklace and a ring.
Because he had the money
She felt very
and doesn't care.
pressured to do it. But anyway, she met Jack, and this is the route she wanted to take, was with Jack. And okay, so everything's going fine, and the ship was sinking, and there's some turmoil with her husband. Not very much, though. I mean, barely. So the ship sank, and he drew a boat for the company, or for the the family. They got on it, whatever, and Rose was like, oh, I have to go find Jack, and Jack was, no, they're doing a lot of things, because the boat was sinking, and Jack and Rose were all over it. You see, and yeah, Jack actually freed a couple kids that were with their moms and get in a boat. And then, yeah. So Jack and Rose got out eventually. You know, things flooded, all kinds of things. A ship is sinking. It's this way. It's vertical. Then there's a band playing. This is a band playing. That's nice though. And anyway, long story short, Jack and Rose end up on an iceberg. And Rose is in the water.
They didn't end up on the iceberg.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. They were on an iceberg eventually.
They ended up in a floating piece of debris. Jack died. Rose got carried off by
A
a
floating
lifeboat.
piece of debris, yeah.
But to this day,
That's what I
they're
meant, not
still
icebergs.
considered fictional characters.
No, all these characters are fictional. I'm just explaining a love story from start to end, like Jack and Rose. This is Jack and Rose love story. Drunk. This is a drunk love. This is me being drunk. A love story.
You should tell our drunk love story.
No, it's not over. It's not over. But yeah. So they ended up on some. I thought it was an iceberg. It's not. Some piece of debris where Leo was like.
Which he could have
loved her at
fit.
the end. He
But
loved her at
Rose.
the end, and he loved her at the end. She loved him. It was hard for them to say goodbye, but Leo had to do it because things were so weird and crazy, and they're in the water, and oh, the lifeboat's over there. Anyway, Rose got a lifeboat. She lived, and then after she lived, she went and did all the things that her and Jack were that they said while they were in love on the boat, doing crazy like lover things they said they were gonna do, and they did them.
The 5
Or
days.
she did them. She rode horseback on the beach. She did many things. That's the story of Jack and Rose.